I'm back, baby, and so are my boys, Dave and Jason. But before we get started, welcome back to the On Deck Circle podcast, brought to you by the Fantasy Six Pack. So, got a couple confessions to make. I started playing softball with my girlfriend and her friends, and I was told before the game even started on Sunday, Nick, we're going to be off. So I said, we can't be that bad. We lost 14-4. Which is, I'm very competitive, so it fucking sucked. I knocked in all 4 runs. I hit what should have been a home run, but it turned out to be a triple. So I'm a little pissed off about that. Got a doubleheader on Sunday, so I'll let you know about that. And before I bring Jason in, it's been brought to my attention in the league that Dave, Jason, and I are in, 30 Rock, there has just been a 3-team trade. If Jason would like to come in, I will start reading the trade. Jason, come on down. Did you see this yet?
Oh, wait, sorry. I was feverishly refreshing Twitter, looking for new trades. An actual MLB, so I did not see the 30 Rock trade. So
all right.
Lay it on me.
I'll give you a hint. There's some nepotism involved.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So it was a 3-team deal.
I think that's the first of its kind. Although, before we go any further, did you see the amount of trades that have been made in this league?
Yes, it was like
shocking.
Two something.
No, it was up to like 400 something.
Oh my god!
I thought it was 200 to 300 too.
Yeah,
over 400 trades in 30 Rock. It's only been around for
a year and a half.
Like a year and a half at the most. Yeah.
And it took this long to get a 3-team.
Yeah, I can't recall if there's been one before, but to my knowledge, it's.
I'm just gonna throw out some names that are in it.
Okay.
Manny Machado, Giolito, Hader, and Mr. Aaron Savali. I don't know how to say his name.
So first of all, when you started to list the names that were being traded, I instantly thought of Nick. And then you're talking about the nepotism. So now I know for a fact that Nick Savali was
Nick
part of
did indeed acquire his brother.
Awesome. One thing I love about that guy, man, he's slinging around the MLB guys and the 30-teamer like it's an 8-man league. So I love that bravado from him in that sense.
Yeah, he also acquired Tanner Burns. He goes all after the Guardians, I guess you could say.
Okay, yeah. Hey, it's trade season, man. It's trade season.
It is. I'm sending out some feelers. Dave's trying to trade me 30-something-year-old Freddie Freeman for Walker Buehler, but that just doesn't help me. Dave, come on in, buddy.
What's up, guys? Hey.
Oh, all right.
Ooh, yeah. Got me a little Tigers Cooperstown collection.
Nice.
No big deal. Yeah. I saw something in the 30 Rock chat earlier about Nick was talking about or somebody had said it'd be funny if Nick could say he owned his brother.
Yeah.
And so I was like, did I miss a trade or what's going on? So then I looked down at my phone and I saw something about a 3-teamer. I didn't take the time to look at it, but that's interesting.
Yeah,
we got bigger fish to fry here, gentlemen. So I thought it'd be kind of fun this week, even though it's not exactly like Dynasty baseball, uber specific, but I mean, they were just talking about, 30 Rocks had 400 and some odd trades in like a year and a half in this 30-team league. And being that, the trade deadline is just a couple days away, we've kind of chit-chatted a little bit here and there about, some guys and, who might get traded, where they might go and stuff. So now that we're, in the heart of this son of a bitch, we gotten trades left and right tonight. Every time a guy gets taken out of a game, Trey Turner, everyone thinks, oh, he's traded. So I thought we'd run through some of the top trade targets, talk about real quick, where we think that they might go. And then, with where we think they might go, how it would affect their dynasty value. So a little bit of a fun podcast. And so I kind of want to go team by team a little bit here. And I think the two teams that are the most interesting as far as what they have to offer are the Nationals and the Cubs. So let's start with the Nationals. I guess pretty much everyone except for Juan Soto is theoretically available on that team. And I think the two biggest names, the two guys that could have the biggest impact somewhere will be Max Scherzer and Trey Turner. So what are your guys' thoughts as far as, Scherzer or Turner getting traded? If so, where do you think that would put them? And do you think it would affect their dynasty value?
I'm going to go out on a huge limb because he already came out and said, Scherzer came out and said he limits it to the West Coast. So I'm going to go with he goes to the Dodgers.
Who's that now?
The Dodgers, Scherzer.
For Scherzer?
Yeah. I mean, he already kind of came out and said, I want to go somewhere to a contender on the West Coast. That kind of limits his options over there. So, you got the Dodgers. I mean, I wouldn't put it past the Giants. However, the Giants seem to have been, turning lemons into lemonade with that pitching staff. So I think I'm saying he's going to the Dodgers.
So since you were talking about, West Coast, kind of thing, me personally, and there's a lot of guys that we're going to talk about that I don't think are going to go anywhere personally. But Scherzer to me is going to be on the move, and I've got him going to the last team that the Dodgers would want him to go to.
Padres?
I think the Padres. The Padres are hardcore looking for a starting pitcher, which is kind of crazy when you think about all the elite starting pitching that they've acquired. But when it comes to baseball like that, I mean, obviously the Dodgers are going to be interested. And, the only thing better than trading for Max Scherzer, if you're the Padres, is trading for Max Scherzer so that the Dodgers don't get him. You know what I mean? Now that doesn't mean that, the Dodgers wouldn't turn around and, go grab a Barrios or, or somebody else. But, Scherzer's obviously the premier arm that's available. And so, I don't know. Me, I think Padres is where I see him going.
I just love that he said no to the Yankees.
Yeah.
But yeah, probably one of those two teams, I would assume, just because of like what you said. He said he wants the West Coast. He said he wants this. I feel like the Nationals would respect that, trade it. And I'm assuming he has a no trade, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, but yeah, probably. But he would waive it to go just about anywhere that's a contender. I mean,
So I think he goes to the West Coast either. I mean, there's a pretty big hole in the Dodgers pitching rotation, so they're going to get a pitcher in the next 3 days. So we'll see.
I mean, the A's, I don't know if they would take on that kind of salary, I guess, but the A's would be somebody else where it would make sense. Especially,
like is it a top 5 guy in a system, or is it like one of those, like a bunch of depth?
I mean, I don't know. I guess you get what you can. You get what you can get. I would imagine. I mean, I could see a team like Oakland maybe preferring to give up
The draft
quality over quantity because they feel like they can develop guys, so they might prefer to give up a couple less guys. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I guess I don't know. I don't see like C.J. Abrams for Max Scherzer happening. That's too much. But Padres are stacked. Dodgers are stacked as well. Either one of those teams could easily pull off a deal for Max. It's just a matter of what the Nationals would ask for, I guess.
True.
Trey Turner then becomes next. What do you guys think?
I don't think he's going anywhere. He's going to be great for your dynasty team no matter what. So, I mean, this is kind of a boring one because there's like smoke, but I don't think there's going to be a fire. I think this is just like we'll trade him, but you're going to have to give me a C.J. Abrams and something.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, C.J. Abrams and some, absolutely. Yeah, if you want Trey Turner, huge difference in value between Turner and Scherzer.
Yeah.
I mean, just age alone, you'd have to pony up for him.
Is like who I saw. They were like, oh, they'd be a good fit. It'd be like Marte and a lot more, like Hancock or something.
Yeah, maybe it probably and then some.
Yeah, it's so hard to make a deal for a player of the caliber of Turner when you're paying for it.
Yeah, he's going to take the chunk out of whatever. He's going to basically, if you're the Nationals, you can pretty much ask for just about anything you want and be justified. They're not obviously going to give up a young MLB talent because that wouldn't make sense. But as far as prospects and stuff, they can pretty much pick and choose which 2 or 3 of these, teams' top 5 players they want.
Exactly.
What do you think, Jason? Trey Turner.
Yeah, I agree with Nick. There's smoke, but I don't think there's any fire. Like you said, it's going to take a ton to get him away from the Nationals. He's still under team control next year, and he's one of the top shortstops in the game, so I don't see him going anywhere. Obviously, I'm sure the Nationals want to see what they can get for him, but at this point, I don't think he's going anywhere.
Yeah, I have to agree. I don't see Trey Turner getting dealt, and even part of that is just because of the return that it would take. I mean, at the trade deadline, you see a lot of moves, obviously, but it's not super often, a guy in Trey Turner's position becomes available. And then, Jason, you'll be pretty familiar with these guys. The Cubs have got a whole bunch of guys, that could be moved or will be moved. Chris Bryant, Craig Kimbrell, Anthony Rizzo, Javier Baez. Those are all guys that very well could be dealt here, in the very near future. So I'll kind of leave it to you first. You definitely have more knowledge on these guys than we do. What do you think about each one of those guys? Do you think they all go? Who do you think goes? Where do you think maybe they go? Kind of like to hear your thoughts first.
Sure. I think of all of the core, I guess you could call it, except for Kimbrel. I mean, he's not part of the core, but the people that are for sure going to go, I believe, is Chris Bryant and Kimbrel. Those 2 make the most sense. Obviously, we're not going to re-sign Bryant. That's been rumored for almost a year now. They don't want to pony up for him. And then Kimbrel, he's obviously has an option next year, so he's kind of under control, but he seems to be more of a rental at $16 million, I think, next year. So he's almost guaranteed to go. Rizzo, that one pains me a lot. I don't want to see him go. He's, your classic clubhouse morale guy. I don't want to see him go. Unfortunately, I think this front office seems to be content with just ripping it all down. I think Baez goes too. I think Baez is going to be a little bit harder of a sell. I think some fans are going to be maybe a little shocked at what you're going to get in return for Baez. He's good. He also, strikes out a ton and just hits home runs. That's almost, half the league nowadays. So it's not like he's bringing anything great to the table. But as far as landing spots go, I think Bryant goes to the Mets. He's been rumored there for a while now. They have some of the younger, farm system that can kind of get the ammo to get him away from the Cubs. Kimbrel, like I said, he's obviously definitely going to go. I could see him going to the Padres. The Padres, again, another contender and also in a dogfight for that NL West. So they could be looking to add a top-notch bullpen piece. And like I said, if Rizzo does go, I think it's going to be to Boston, unfortunately. Nick will be happy on that one. And then
if I had home.
Yeah, exactly. Different regime, but yeah, he was originally drafted by the Red Sox. And then, like I said, if Baez does go anywhere, I don't think he does, but it's kind of a long shot. But maybe the Yankees. I know they're in the market for an infielder. That's kind of fits their MO, a little power bat.
Yeah, that does make sense.
That would be my opinion on those 4 guys. But like I said, of the 4, you can almost chalk up Bryant and Kimbrel on the move.
Yeah, I mean, the way I look at it is if they're going to move, one of those guys or 2 of those guys, they pretty much are going to be looking to move them all. So, I mean, for me, I think that, pretty much to echo Jason, unfortunately, I think Bryant and Kimbrel are guaranteed gone. I actually think that it makes a lot of sense that I'm going to say that they're in the same trade and that they go to the Dodgers. I really say I think that makes perfect sense for the Dodgers to get both those guys. Completely agree on Rizzo. I think him going to Boston just makes absolute perfect sense. I could see him going to the Yankees as well. I guess you could pretty much put a lot of these guys in the game. I mean, Yankees could,
they need all the help they can get.
They could take anybody, but I think the Red Sox are the team that I think makes the most sense for them. Baez, again, Jason, completely agree with what you said. I think that people would be very underwhelmed with what they could get for Baez. I think that keeps Baez in Chicago. I don't know if he doesn't get traded, in the offseason or something like that, but I see him sticking around in Chicago. If I had to say, he was definitely going to get moved, I could see either the Yankees make a lot of sense, but a team like maybe the Brewers or something, I could see, taking a shot on him. They could use that offense to go with that crazy pitching.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know where I could see Bryant going, but even like a team like the Braves, like just to help that outfield. But I don't know. I don't understand why they would trade him. If Jason, you said there's no way they re-sign him.
I mean, the amount of money he wants.
Yeah.
He's a Scott Boras client.
Yeah.
He's a former MVP, former Rookie of the Year. I mean, you're talking probably at least, $200 to $300 million easily.
Yeah. Maybe he goes to the Phillies with his boy Bryce. Who knows?
Maybe.
I think the Sox will get Kimbrel and Rizzo.
Okay.
I don't know what it would cost, but I think Rizzo is a Red Sox.
Durant.
Maybe Bobby Dobbin. I mean,
maybe.
Like actually.
I mean, you could see us, you could see a million things happening.
Yeah.
And it's almost hard to rule out a lot of things. And especially any one of these four guys, obviously, they all have value. I think it makes a lot of sense for the Cubs to move as many as possible and kind of restock things and, give it another run here. It doesn't really make a lot of sense not to deal these guys, in my opinion.
Yeah. And then for Baez, I just see him in a Marlins uniform. Aesthetically, it's pleasing. The black, the chain out. He's just him and Jazz would be fun.
It would be fun. I mean, that's definitely an outside of the box thought.
And they have those middle tier prospects that I think could get like a Peyton Burdick. He's a top 150 guy ish, and that could be the headliner for that type of trade.
Yeah, they definitely have a lot of guys that they could deal if they decided to go that route. I don't see them spending that money.
Oh no.
So
it would just be fun.
Yeah, it would be fun for sure. It'd be fun for sure. Next guy on the list is going to be Starlin Marte. He's obviously speaking to the Marlins. He's not being re-signed, so he, almost 100% it will be traded. It's a matter of where. Mm-hmm. For me, I think that a team like the Giants would be a great fit for him. Kind of, not one of the most expensive guys out there, but a good, well-rounded player. Which is kind of a lot of what the Giants have are just guys that aren't great at one particular thing, but they're just good at everything. I see him being a really good fit there in San Francisco.
Yeah, some other, that one was a good one. I also think he could be a good fit in the Yankees.
Yeah,
they are for an outfielder. And yeah, they have the firepower as well to land him, and we've seen the Yankees not afraid to make the big splash. So I could see him going to the Yankees.
And I think it'll be fun too to go back here next week on the podcast,
and no one gets
obviously we'll have these notes, and I just kind of will be curious to see because I really put a lot of thought into where I thought these guys were going to go, and I didn't want to sit there and put, oh yeah, this guy's going to the Dodgers, and he's going to the Dodgers, and he's going to the Dodgers. I mean, if you look at my list as a whole, it's pretty well rounded. I think that it makes a lot of sense. No one team has got 5 of these guys. So I mean, I really tried to make it really make sense here.
Yeah.
So another team that's got a couple guys that are going to be on the move. One for sure is the Rockies. Trevor Story, John Gray, probably the two most notable names that I could see being traded. We talked about Story a little bit, not that long ago, and I had dropped, the A's is the team that I thought he would go to. And the more I thought about it today, I'm actually sticking with the A's. I really think if I had to pick where he's going to go, as odd as it is, with them letting Semien go and then they turn around and trade for a guy that's even more expensive, I really think that the A's are my pick for his landing spot.
I'm going with the Yankees again, just because.
That makes sense.
It's just there's so many holes there, and they're so dug in. Like, they need to start actually getting their shit together, because pretty soon it's going to be too far. Like, they're close to I think over the weekend it was 9 or 10 games back, and now you need the mindset of, okay, I need to get into the wild card game, and now I need to fucking win the wild card.
But even so, trading for Story, while you're right, it does help him this year. It's not like he's, Max Scherzer, and he's old.
Yes,
And
yeah.
He's a guy that you trade for him, and you probably almost instantly sign to a long-term deal.
1,000%.
So if you trade for him, the Yankees know I'm paying for him. So another reason why the Yankees do make sense, for him, because if he goes to Oakland,
that's it.
Yeah, are they going to turn around and sign him for 8 years and $300 million? I don't think so. So he would literally be a rental to them, which might be that might be what they what ends up happening. But I don't know. What do you think, Jason? Trevor Story.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the crosstown rivals. I think he lands at the White Sox. There's been some links to him. Not a ton of smoke, but they need. What's funny is as jam-packed as that lineup is and the amount of injuries they have, they actually still need some help on the offensive side. So
second base, especially.
Yeah, my only concern with them is, do they have the firepower? A lot of their prospect in that farm system is depleted. They've all graduated.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I don't think Story is going to demand a huge return. I mean,
it would be an Arenado.
I mean, his return is probably going to get inflated more than other guys, just because everyone's going to want him, because obviously he's one of the top 10 hitters in the game, or top 10 offensive players in the game. Right. So his value is going for a rental is going to be pretty decent. But I don't think you're going to see this blockbuster.
Maybe?
Who's that?
Cespedes. Didn't they sign Cespedes?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if him alone, but but I mean, that's not, and that's a guy that's fairly close to the big leagues. I mean, he's 22, 23 or something.
He's
so
old, right?
Yeah, exactly. He just hasn't been over on the stateside here very long yet. So I don't know. Rockies are weird, so you never know what the hell they're thinking.
But I think he fits great on the south side here.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, no, it totally makes sense. And then the other guy there, John Gray. Obviously, everyone's looking for pitching, and even pitching in Colorado, John Gray's numbers have always been pretty decent. So I can definitely see a lot of interest in him. Bullpen arms and starting pitchers are always just what gets moved like crazy. So what do you guys think on John Gray?
I think he stays, actually.
Yeah, I think German gets traded before him. Is it German or Yerman?
I think it's Yerman.
Okay,
yeah, I think so.
I think Marquez gets traded.
I think John Gray stays as well, personally, but he's been talked about a lot lately.
Oh, yeah.
So got a few more I want to get through here. We'll go a little quicker now that we only got pretty much one guy here per team. But guy that I saw get absolutely rocked last week, Kyle Gibson. Rangers are almost certain to trade him, I think. Where do you guys see him landing?
Boston.
I could see him going to a team like Tampa. Tampa always seems to find these not high price tag the guys, and then they turn them into magic down there. I can see him going to the Rays.
I got him going to the Mets. Mets are a team that need arms. I could see him benefiting going to the NL. I guess anybody would. Yeah. But I mean, if Kyle Gibson got traded from the Rangers to the Mets, I think if you're a Kyle Gibson owner, that makes you very happy. I think he's all the guys we've talked about so far pretty much have been not elite maybe, but high-end baseball players, and you put them just about anywhere. You put him, in Kansas City, and you're like, yeah, no, I still really like him. But I think Kyle Gibson starts to get to a different level where, depending on where he goes, you might feel one way or another. And so, if he were to go to the Mets, I think that's actually really good for his value. Another guy I got down here, I actually just traded for this guy in a different Dynasty one-stop 30 teamer than what we're in. Richard Rodriguez, the current closer for the Pirates. He's almost certain to get traded as well. Me personally, I see him going to the A's. I think, again, anyone that's in contention is in the market for a Richard Rodriguez. It doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be a closer anywhere. He's going to be a guy, you trade for him, he's going to be probably your 8th inning guy. Depending on where he goes, maybe like a Milwaukee, he'd be, your 7th inning guy, but he's going to be a setup guy. But those guys are, usually the top priority, at the trade deadline. So I say A's. Richard Rodriguez, what do you guys think?
I'll take your word for the A's.
Okay.
I'll say Blue Jays.
Yeah, no, Blue Jays is probably my second pick.
That makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Joey Gallo, guy that I just saw why Kyle Gibson was getting raked on. A lot of talk about Joey Gallo, potentially on the move as well, with the Rangers selling. What do you guys think there, Joey Gallo?
Stays.
I'm going to go out on a limb at the dark horse and say he goes to the Brewers. The Brewers have a ton of pitching. Of all the division, the division leaders, they're second worst in runs scored behind the Mets. They're desperate. They cannot keep running out Jackie Bradley Jr. out there.
He's so bad.
Yeah, so and I know, we both know that.
We know
is bad. So I think a dark horse. He hasn't been linked to the Brewers, but I could see them making a splash, something like that.
No, Brewers is definitely interesting. I think the most fun landing spot for him, and we might have talked about this last week, most fun spot would be the Yankees. Mm-hmm. Just to have, Stanton and
Judge,
and then Gallo,
and Story and Gallo.
That's crazy. Any team looking for left-handed power, which is pretty much everybody, would be happy to get Gallo. I think that Gallo it's not his time to be traded yet. I think that he stays. Not that he won't be traded, in the offseason or at next year's deadline, but I don't think he goes anywhere this year. Mm-hmm. Next on my list, I got a guy I mentioned earlier, Jose Barrios. Twins are obviously not in it this year. He's highly valuable. A lot of rumors about him going to all sorts of places because, of course, he's a pitcher, and that's what everybody wants. So what are you guys thinking, maybe potential landing spots, if any, for Jose Barrios?
Whoever doesn't get Max Scherzer. So either the Dodgers or the Padres.
Yeah, that's very possible.
I think he stays. The front office has come out and said that they want a very hefty price in return for Barrios, and I'm not sure many teams are willing to. There's other lower tier guys that they can get for cheaper. So I think he stays in Minnesota actually.
Yep, and I will completely agree with Jason. Minnesota planned on contending, this year, and so them getting rid of the ace of their staff, I don't think makes a lot of sense. I don't think that this down year is a reason for them to sell a guy like that personally. So I think he stays. Eduardo Escobar, a guy that's been linked to be traded here for quite a while, but has not been yet. What do you guys think about a landing spot for a guy that is almost certain to be traded?
I'm surprised this hasn't happened already, and he was linked that basically almost completed the deal to the White Sox, and I think with that close of a deal almost being done, I think it's somehow they make it happen, and he does go to the White Sox.
I think the A's for him. Cheaper than Story, money wise, so possibly resign him.
See, I think if he was going to go to the White Sox, I think with the injuries that they had and whatnot, I think he might have already been gone. And he's been linked to the White Sox for so long that I just don't think it's going to happen. And Jason kind of hit on where I thought he was going to go earlier, talking about a need for offense, and they have a need at second base as well. I think the Brewers make a whole lot of sense for him. Power bat that they obviously desperately need at a position that they need as well. I think the Brewers are where Eduardo Escobar goes. Jonathan Scope, my Tiger, my Detroit Tiger, been absolutely on fire. For the second half of the first half of the year, it turns into one of the better hitters in baseball for the first half. Really, what do you guys think about Jonathan Scope's potential landing spot, if any?
Can he play first base?
He's been playing first base all year.
The Red Sox.
Okay.
I think he stays. He's one of those guys that just seems to be, he's a guy that maybe would have benefited from, years past when there was waiver wire deals.
Mm-hmm.
He seems like the kind of guy that someone would have come in. Oh, we missed out on this guy. We missed out on Rizzo. We missed out on him. Well, Scoops on the waivers. Let's grab him. Without having that anymore, I think he actually ends up stays.
So, I mean, the news out of Detroit is that they don't plan on selling. Now, part of that is because they don't really have a lot to sell. They've got Scope. They've got like Robbie Grossman. Those are about the only two pieces that they have that are expendable that somebody might want. With that being said, I think you flip a coin on whether he goes to the Red Sox or whether he stays. I could see him staying, and I could see him signing another 1-year deal with Detroit.
Yeah.
People love him here in Detroit. He's been a good signing for us. He's not super expensive. He seems to like it here. But if he does get traded, I think the Red Sox are the perfect spot for him. And then last guy we'll talk about here is Whit Merrifield, kind of another guy that fits anywhere, can play the outfield, of course, can play second base, leads the league in steals. I don't know if he leads the league in steals, but he has been atop the leaderboard up there. So a guy that all these power teams, would love to have on base, to get knocked in on these homers. So what do you guys think potential landing spot, if any, for Whit Merrifield?
He's been linked to him a bunch, so I'm just going to go the Mariners.
Makes sense.
He seems like a guy that, like he's got the versatility. Mariners need versatility. They need outfield. They need second base. So, I'm going to go with the Mariners.
I'll just agree with you. I don't think he's going to get traded, but if he gets traded, I'd say Seattle just because of all the smoke that's there.
And I don't think Whit Merrifield gets traded. Like, he's kind of the Royals. Royals tend to be pretty loyal to their guys. They're not good, but they're kind of like the Tigers, where they're not super far away if things fall their way. And he's not like he's crazy old, so I'd have to look up how old he is, but he's got to be in his early 30s, probably like 31 or something.
He's probably under 33.
He's 32.
Is he? Okay. So, now maybe isn't the time to trade him. Maybe a year or two, if things don't pan out for him, but we'll see. We'll see. All right, guys, let's get on to the new segment here for my boy, Nick. Nick, I hooked you up this week, my friend.
No.
I do have a little quick intro here for Down on the Farm. So without any further ado here, Nick, here's my intro for I guess this week it'll be Jason on the farm.
Down on the farm.
Perfect.
You like it?
Yeah.
I loved it.
I wanted to throw a hog or two in there, but I didn't want. I didn't need
This is a children's show.
sending me dirty
Family
pictures.
We need the hog.
So, all right, Jason, who's the Down on the Farm for us this week?
Yeah, so this week we're going to be talking about Anthony Volpe, or Volpe, the shortstop. Volpe, shortstop for the Yankees. This is the kind of guy that's been, turning a lot of heads this year. He's a lean right-handed shortstop. He's lacks a little bit in the power department, but he makes up with it in the hit tool. He was drafted obviously for his above average defense. He's got some quick bat, and if he bulks up a little more, he could even reach 2020 club with his peak years. Because right now in 2021, between low A and high A, he's got 15 home runs, 21 stolen bases, and he actually has more walks and strikeouts in 2021. And if he continues this pace, I think he could easily be a top 100 prospect in 2022. Like I said, he was kind of struggled with some injuries right out of the gate, and then obviously last year there was no minor league, so that obviously hurt some of the development there. But like I said, he's with his first full season in the minors. He's actually he's making heads turn, and to me, he comps to someone along the lines of like an Andrelton Simmons, kind of that glove first, but also has that offensive ability that he can showcase as well.
He doesn't have that kind of glove, my man.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Andrelton Simmons is an elite defender. If you want to talk about his bat, I don't like that comp. I'm sorry, buddy.
That's right. I mean, you can't. It's hard to comp anyone's glove to Andrelton Simmons, but
it's very hard to comp in general, to be honest.
Exactly, and then you're trying to comp a 19, 20-year-old. It's really hard. So I was trying to come up with somebody, and that's about the best I could come up with.
Yeah, that wasn't good. I'm sorry. Listen, I talk shit, and then I don't have a better comparison necessarily. But I guess if we had to think about it ahead of time, maybe. But no, I mean, I can't even think how to say it. Is it Volpe? He's been pretty spectacular. I wouldn't call him kind of like a pop-up prospect because, he's a first-round pick 2 years ago. A lot of people know who he is, but he hasn't been, a household name or anything like that. And this year, like you said, man, he's been spectacular, batting over 300. His on base is almost 450. He has an OPS over 1,000. I mean, he's already a 15-15 guy, and he's only, played 65 games. So if you were to double that, you've got a 30-30 guy batting 300 with a 400-plus on base. I mean, I know it's, low minors, so, stats are whatever. But, I'd rather see that than, Peyton Burdick numbers.
Yeah.
I think that he's going to be traded here in the next few days. Yep. If the Yankees want somebody, if they get Story, that's a natural, replacement kind of. Granted, he's obviously a few years away, but if they go and get a Story, I think Volpe's a guy who probably gets moved in a lot of deals. I think a lot of people are going to be high on him. I can't imagine the Yankees holding out anybody other than maybe Jason Dominguez. I don't see him getting traded under any circumstances, but I think everybody else is fair game, and I think the Yankees would be willing to move anybody. So this could be a name that people have not heard of. We talk about him, and 3 days from now, all of a sudden he's a guy that all of a sudden is one of the Rockies better prospects.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, fantastic. All right, Nick. Well, we went a little bit over because, this trade talk, I could literally do 5 hours on this. We could sit there and I could have went through a ton more names and we could have got way more in depth. And but I mean, this to me is just fun. The trade deadline season, outside of like the playoffs, if your team's in it at least, is to me the most fun part of the entire season. It goes playoffs, trade deadline, and then winter meetings because there's a whole shit ton of trading there too. So. And then probably maybe the draft, I guess. But so I could do this all day, but it's been real. Like I said, I look forward to keeping a little bit of notes here, and we'll check back next week and see how stupid we are. Spoiler alert: we're probably pretty stupid.
Yeah. Does anyone have any random thing that they think could happen, like a random guy to get traded that no one's really talking about?
Well, everybody gets talked about. I mean,
I think Bobby Dahlbeck gets traded. That's not really like a huge name, but like around here, that would be a big deal because he's like our first baseman.
Right, but if they trade Bobby Dahlbeck and get Trevor Story,
yes, well, yeah.
I mean, people aren't going to be like, "Oh no, I want Bobby Dahlbeck strikeouts." They're going to be like, "Fuck yeah, Trevor Story."
Yeah, but do you have any under the radar guys you think will get traded?
If you'd have asked us before the show, so we could have thought about it
now. Quick.
No.
I guess Jason's would be Javi Baez because that one's kind of.
Yeah, I mean,
could they trade like Kyle Hendricks?
So I actually was looking at some of the stuff today, and I honestly would not be upset if they did, especially if they get a good return. He's under team control.
That's what I'm saying. If they're gonna dump the team.
Yeah.
Who
might as well.
Yeah, exactly. Who on the major league roster is like, well, now
something.
We can't trade him. If you're going to dump everybody, basically, and you're playing for 2 or 3 years from now, why aren't you taking calls on Alec Mills? Why aren't you taking calls on Kyle Hendricks? I mean.
And just on a side note, I mean, he's kind of proven he may not be that number one that everyone thought he was.
Yeah.
Well, no one's trading for him to be an ace, but
no. I'm saying as from a Cubs perspective, you could kind of see, okay, well, this isn't the guy that we thought maybe he'd be able to carry the team on his back as a front of the line ace. So I think he could become expendable.
If they're taking calls, every contender is going to be interested in Kyle Hendricks. I mean, even quote unquote non-contenders, kind of like, he'd be a great fit in Seattle.
Yeah.
A team that I think, well, they've already made some moves today. And I think that's just the precipice of more moves to come. They're getting ripped on their deal that they made. And I don't know what's happened since we've been on there, but maybe they've made more trades, but they've been getting ripped on this deal, pretty much giving up Graveman and Montero for nothing. But what's to come? So let's not bash on them here until we get to August 1st, and then we go, okay, what does this team look like now? But that could be, the Seattle could be a team. If they went out and traded for a Whit Merrifield and traded for a Kyle Hendricks, setting themselves up for next year. Kalenic, J-Rod. I mean, it makes a whole lot of sense. I could see them not being huge buyers. I don't see them getting a Trevor Story or something like that. But maybe. Maybe.
That's the beauty of it.
Maybe. But, yeah, that'll be interesting. I think Seattle, just because I love so many of their prospects, Seattle's becoming one of my favorite teams just because I'm emotionally invested in a lot of the guys that they have that I like. So I'm kind of half rooting for them to be one of those year ahead kind of teams that are making moves, thinking ahead of time, getting guys, like a Merrifield, that aren't, a rental or something like that, getting a Gallo, it doesn't really fit that team because they don't need outfield help, but it's something along those lines, moving to first base. I don't know. Just they are a team that I see making a deal for a guy that you go, what the fuck? The Mariners?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. I mean, sure.
We've seen it before. I mean, Cincinnati traded for Cincinnati were, they weren't even buyers and they bought Bauer a couple years ago. So
yeah, you just never know. So all right. On that note, gentlemen, I guess we'll call her quits. And again, I really look forward to next week and rehashing all this.
Next week, boys.
Yeah. See ya.
Peace.